Hey guys, I'm Andrew Henderson from Nomad Capitalist here in Bali. And what does the Nomad Capitalist do when he's at a hotel in Bali? Well, he goes around and talks to other folks about dual citizenship. Ran into someone in the lobby today, had a little chat. They are Indonesian, and we ended up talking about passports, citizenships. And they told me, hey, Indonesia, very strict, can't have a second passport, can't have dual citizenship. So I wanted to take that as an opportunity to talk about one of the most viewed videos that we have on our channel, one of the most popular articles we have on nomadcapitalist.com, which is, where can I get dual citizenship? Does my country allow it? Which countries allow it? And talk about, more specifically, the trends in dual citizenship. Now, if you want to know about your specific country, we've got an article on nomadcapitalist.com. Just Google Nomad Capitalist dual citizenship. We've also got a video on YouTube about the concept, but I want to talk about the trends, because when this person in the lobby told me that Indonesia was very strict, I don't particularly know a lot about Indonesia, but I want to talk about kind of the three different categories that I put countries into when it comes to dual citizenship. The first category is the most open countries, and the trend has been very much in the favor of this strategy. So if you go back to the late 90s, even the early 2000s, a lot of countries that seemed pretty open were still prohibiting or restricting dual citizenship. I think even Australia and Germany were on that list, if you go back 15 years or so. In the last 15 years, in the first decade and a half of the 2000s, there's been tremendous growth. The trend has really been in favor of allowing dual citizenship. And that's a good thing. In most of the countries, chances are the country that you're a citizen of, if you're watching this, allows dual citizenship. And so that's the first category. Countries that allow it, they allow dual, they allow, in 98% of cases, multiple passports. You can have one, you can have two, you can have five, you can have 10. That's the trend, and I think we really see the world going in that direction. The next category is what I would call the soft single citizenship countries. These are countries like Malaysia, other countries. There may be a couple of these in Europe where they forbid dual citizenship. It's an open secret that plenty of people get around it. I know a lot of Malaysians, or I've heard of Malaysians who have UK passports, have other countries' passports, Singapore passports, although that one's a little bit tougher, I think. And, you know, when they come to Malaysia, they come as a Malaysian. Nobody ever knows the difference. Nobody particularly cares. I think I heard a story of one guy getting caught, and they just kind of slapped him on the wrist. Now, whether that's the case law or whether that's just what happened in one case, who knows? But I think that there are a lot of countries, just as the trend is going towards allowing people to have dual citizenship, you've got other countries that that say they don't allow it but don't really care. Slovenia, for example, I remember I have a lawyer friend there, and she was telling me how Slovenia technically does not allow dual citizenship, so when you go and you become naturalized, they want you to hand in a passport. Well, for one thing, you could have multiple other passports. If you already have dual citizenship before you become Slovenian, you could just hand in one and keep the other one. And what she also said was, some folks from some countries just go right back to their embassy and say, hey, I had to renounce it, can you give it back to me? And nobody really cares. I recently helped a guy who is an Australian citizen figure out how to reclaim an Asian citizenship and then go back to Australia and get his Australian passport back, so we could essentially have both. So soft single citizenship rules, I think, are also growing, where countries just increasingly don't care and they don't really bother. Then you've got the hard single citizenship countries, some of the Gulf countries. I think Singapore probably falls into this. Lithuania has been in the news a number of times for this, and I've seen that with some of my own experiences. This is increasingly becoming less and less. And again, I mean, if you're in the Gulf, fine. You know, I thought Turkey might have gone in this direction, but now they're going to start selling passports. We did a video on that separately, how to get citizenship in Turkey. This is really a shrinking number of countries. It really is. Singapore says, hey, we need people to be, you know, loyal to us, so that we don't allow it. We're very strict. I think that trend is going away. Maybe that's the case in Singapore, but most countries aren't Singapore. Most countries are moving in favor of dual citizenship. We're seeing countries allowing it. Really, each year I see one or two countries at least opening it up. Some of the few remaining EU countries are opening it up in the next year or two. I've seen some news on that. So dual citizenship, the trend is in favor of it. If you're from the West, chances you already have it. The one thing to keep in mind, of course, is that your country may not see you as a dual citizen. If you're a U.S. citizen, they still see you as a U.S. citizen. They still want you to enter and exit their country as a U.S. citizen. but they allow it. They tolerate you to have other passports. They don't restrict it. They don't care. When you're there, you're still a U.S. citizen. You can't be a U.S. citizen and enter on a German passport because they don't want you to have access to German consular services. They want you to be an American. So that's not a restriction on dual citizenship. That's just saying when you're here, you're our citizen. When you're somewhere else, we don't care. Definitely the trend going in the right direction, though, when it comes to multiple citizenship.